I received a comment on my YouTube channel yesterday that I want to share with you guys. From Mohammed, it says, I was afraid of getting into this AI stuff, but when I saw that this came from you, I knew it would be something of academic value. Thank you so much for clearly explaining it. First, thank you, Mohammed, because this was a good comment to receive, especially right now, because it's a reminder that a lot of you come to me for trusting information about what is right and what is wrong regarding academic research and writing. So with all the information swirling around about artificial intelligence, what we're going to do today is work through a research example in real time together. This is a lesson I haven't done a test run for because I want this review to be as honest and accurate as possible when it comes to how effective ChatGPT really is. Here we are. So our objective is we've been given a general topic, which is social media's impact on the modern world. What we're going to use ChatGPT for is, one, to help develop this into a defined research topic. Then we're going to develop a research question in which we're going to develop our thesis statement afterwards. So starting with this basic topic, social media's impact on the modern world, that can go a lot of ways. Now, you've already decided that you want to research dating apps in particular, but you need to go more than dating apps' impact on the modern world. That's too general. So let's try it out. Coming over here to ChatGPT, your starting prompt might be something like this. All right. Here we are. So it did indeed populate 3 different potential research topics. Number 1, we have the impact of dating apps on social interaction and relationship formation. Number 2, the psychological effects of using dating apps. And number 3, the impact of dating apps on cultural norms and values. So my first impression is that ChatGPT did a good job at choosing 3 different routes to take our research. Also, I really like how each of them include a summary explaining what that research topic is. So let's take the first one. This research topic could explore how dating apps have changed the way people interact with each other, how they form relationships, and how they perceive romantic partners. The study could analyze how the use of dating apps affects people's communication skills, emotional intelligence, and relationship expectations. That's a pretty solid foundation for your research. So let's say you decide you like number 1. Now you need to find direction for the research because your research topic, think of it as point A. Your research questions are the directions to get you to point B, your thesis statement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this in our research topic area. So that way we can keep track. There we go. And now we're going to move on to the research question. I'm simply going to do the same thing and prompt ChatGPT to populate 3 different research questions. Here we are. Let's see what we get. Okay. Number 1, we have, how has the rise of dating apps affected the way people initiate and maintain romantic relationships? Next, in what ways do dating apps influence individuals' expectations and standards for romantic partners? And how do these expectations compare to traditional methods of dating? Finally, we have, what are the effects of dating apps' use on social skills, communication patterns, and emotional intelligence in the context of forming and maintaining romantic relationships? Well, all right. It did indeed populate 3 different research questions. However, it kind of just regurgitated exactly what it said in the research topic suggestion. So this isn't necessarily a bad thing per se. However, the question is, does it further us along and help us with our research? And I'm going to say right now, no, not necessarily, because if I had this research topic suggestion, well, I could have come up with these research questions on my own. If in the research topic suggestions, it didn't include the summaries like it did, then this would be pretty impressive. Nevertheless, you might decide that one of these research questions is perfect and you're good to go, moving on to the thesis statement. However, I want to test ChatGPT and see what happens when we ask it to suggest more research questions beyond what it gave us in the research topic. So now we might prompt ChatGPT something like this. Let's see, can it redeem itself from the shamefully basic response it gave us? All right, here's what we have. How do dating app algorithms and user interfaces impact users' decision-making processes when selecting potential romantic partners? Next, what ethical considerations should be taken into account when designing dating apps to minimize negative effects on users' mental health, privacy, and safety? And lastly, how do dating app usage patterns and preferences vary across demographics, and what implications does this have for the future of online dating? All right, we're in business because those are pretty creative research questions. So, in terms of ChatGPT enhancing my thinking process, now we're getting somewhere because I don't think I would have come up with these research questions on my own. I do want to point out that another prompt you could have used to shake up these first three basic research questions is by prompting ChatGPT to provide examples similar to one of these that you like. So if you like number 3, you could ask ChatGPT to list 5 additional research questions that are similar to this one so you maintain the direction of this research question. Let's actually test this out with one of these 3 new research questions. Let's go with number 1. I think researching dating apps from the perspective of how platforms are set up to create matches and attract people, that's kind of fascinating. So let's see what we get. So here's the response, and interesting. Notice how it's giving us 3 additional research questions related to psychological effects of using dating apps. The number 1 we were asking for 3 more examples about had to do with algorithms and how user interfaces impact decision making. Matter of fact, the psychological effects, that was from our topics. That was number 2 from our topics. And so quite frankly, I was going to skip this in the video, but this is an honest review. And honestly, what happened is my prompt was not clear. I asked, list 3 more examples similar to 1. So I'm assuming ChatGPT took this as examples similar to 1, to any of them, rather than number 1 in the previous response. But you know what? Glancing through these, I really like number 1. How do individuals with different attachment styles navigate the use of dating apps? And what impact does this have on their overall well-being and relationship outcomes? That's a great direction for a research paper. So we're going to use this research question, and now we're going to see how ChatGPT does when it comes to creating thesis statements. So here we go. Making sure that we get it perfect and there's no confusion between the communication of ChatGPT and I. We're going to paste that in there and see what we get. Before we read through these, just a quick reminder that a thesis statement contains 3 elements. You need a topic, a position, and evidence. So now let's see if these line up. Number 1. The way that individuals with different attachment styles approach dating apps has a significant impact on their well-being and the success of their romantic relationships. Okay, right away, I'm going to say no to that. That's extremely basic. It doesn't contain the 3 elements because there's no evidence to support why it impacts their well-being and success of their romantic relationships. So, quite frankly, we're off to a rocky start. Let's try number 2. Attachment style plays a critical role in shaping how individuals use dating apps, which in turn affects their overall emotional well-being and relationship outcomes. Okay, so number 2 just restated number 1 using different words. Let's see, will third time be a charm? By understanding the relationship between attachment style, dating app use, and relationship success, we can gain insights into how to design more effective and tailored dating apps that meet the diverse needs of users. And no, first of all, it's not using the right academic verbiage. We can gain insights. We is the first person plural, which you're supposed to avoid at pretty much all costs. And second, this only contains one of the 3 elements that a thesis statement should contain. It just contains the topic because your stance would be the insight. So we can gain insight. What would that insight be? That's going to be your stance or your position. And there's no evidence, obviously, to back that up because there's no stance. So now you're probably wondering, is there a different prompt or a different question we can ask ChatGPT that will guide it, put it in the right direction to help us develop a thesis statement? The truth is, a thesis statement is something you will develop as you perform your research. For example, I came up with a thesis statement for this research question. Here's what it is. Individuals with anxious attachment styles are more susceptible to negative experiences while using dating apps because the nature of these platforms have a high potential of exacerbating feelings of unworthiness and the fear of abandonment, which are common traits of this attachment style. This is a strong thesis statement because it checks the boxes of having a topic, of having a position, and of having evidence for that position. You really can't come up with this unless you've performed some research. And let's say, for example, that ChatGPT, it did give you this response. It gave you an adequate thesis statement. Well, then my question to you would be, how are you going to write your paper? You have the starting point, which is your topic. You have the question, which is the direction, and you have the end point, which is your thesis statement. But how are you going to fill all that in? Where did ChatGPT get the material to come up with that thesis statement? Would you be able to explain what an anxious attachment style is and how it impacts their user experience on dating apps and everything else in this thesis statement? Probably not. So this is why it's important to learn how to use programs like ChatGPT the right way so your expectations are correct, but also because it's still a pretty awesome tool. It did a great job at helping us find a topic and develop a research question. Your next step would be to use it to help assist your research rather than just go straight for the thesis statement. You would use it to help flesh out the concept. It can help you find the information you use in your research paper, which, if you'd like to see how to do this, be sure to check out this video next.